That's why I try to tell people, like, look, you have to understand the power is in you already. Stop, hoping and wishing and begging. It's in you now. Just accept that and walk in that true power. And man, when I began to do that, the world just began to open up. Everything began to unfold right before my very eyes.
Absolutely. And instead of you bending yourself towards circumstances bend to your frequency. They bend to your vibration, because circumstances are just the condensation of thoughts and opinions and points of view. It's condensed themselves. But when you lift your vibration and you know who you are, then everything bends towards you. Doors open, opportunities happen. It's already there within you. Peace and riches blessings. I am Michael B. Beckwith, the host of Take Back Your Mind. Radical blessings to all of you, and welcome to Take Back Your Mind. Every week, we have wonderful beings that share their soul, share their embodied knowledge and their wisdom. After this life question of the week, I'm going to have a great conversation with Billy Carson. I'll introduce you to him in just a moment for those of you who don't know who he is. We have the life question of the week. It is from Catherine. She's asking, is there a distinction between my soul and my higher self? How does that fit into the energy that flows from God, or all that is, through my unique expression? And does my soul guide my specific choices on a day-to-day basis? Or does it generally work in a life flow sort of way? I hope that makes sense. Any light you can shed on this would be helpful. Thank you very much. There are different ways of looking at this. They start from the macro and then work down. There's one life, and that's the life of the infinite. It's called by many names. The presence, that's never an absence, is how I choose to refer to it at times. It's called God. It's called just life with a capital L. Love, beauty, intelligence is its nature and expression. Each of us are individual expressions of that one life. So you've asked, does it operate through us? Yes, but it operates as us. In other words, we're distinct units of the only life that there is. It's called individual. The word individual means undivided. We're never divided from this source. So as we are waking up, it can be said that we're coming into our Buddha nature, or our Christ nature, or integrating with our higher self. There's a part of us that's not sleeping. We consciously, subconsciously, we may be asleep to it. But there's a part of us that it's not sleeping. Sometimes that's called the higher self. We get intimations from it. We get breadcrumbs that lead us to make certain choices and certain decisions in our life. So there's through us, and there's as us. As we become more and more conscious, we realize that the only life that there is our life. So we are a spirit, and we are a unique soul, distinct from anyone else, yet we're all one in the field of love and beauty and intelligence. So when you're praying, you are breaking down the barrier between, you're breaking the barrier between a sense of separation between you and whatever it is you're praying for and about. Wisdom, love, abundance, joy. Your prayer is opening yourself up to have a realization that it's already here, because that is what you are. When you're in the zone, it's flowing through you. When the sense of separation dissolves, it is you. And so in some spiritual circles, we would say that we have a soul, or that we are a soul. In some spiritual circles, it's like we are a spirit. Sometimes they're used interchangeably. Your soul is multidimensional, and it carries the experience of what many people would call many lifetimes. There's only one lifetime with many chapters. So your soul carries all that information. You can actually become still and be guided by the different dimensions of your soul that's operating in different times and spaces, and catch the wisdom of that and allow it to guide you in your present moment. I know you probably didn't ask all of this that I'm sharing. However, what you're asking carries so many different dimensions of it, which is why we invite people to go deeper, listen, take classes, and we go deeper and deeper, deeper into the permeations of our spirit, the permeations of our soul. So basically, we are one with all of life. We are a soul. It's multidimensional, and we can have access to all of the knowledge of the soul as we meditate and ask the proper questions. Catherine, I hope I didn't confuse you more than enlightening you. Thank you for the question. Anyone else want to ask a question? Just email me at podcast@michaelbeckwith.com, and we'll go with the flow of that. We'll be right back with Billy Carson. Peace and blessings, everyone, and welcome back to Take Back Your Mind. This is the place where we bring very powerful guests onto the program, as you have witnessed thus far. And we're all about taking back the mind that's been hijacked from a bias of separation, a sense of disconnect from the presence of which our life is an emanation of. The mind has been hijacked by worry, doubt, fear, anxiety, a sense of being cut off from the source of all creation. And so we're here to take back our mind, take back our life, so our life can be a vehicle of inspiration, of harmonizing prosperity, abundance, perfect health, wellness, well-being, and that we can make a powerful contribution on this planet before it's our time to exit. I have with me today Billy Carson, founder and CEO of 4BiddenKnowledge Incorporated. Billy, welcome.
Thank you. Hey, it's an honor to be on your podcast. I'm really excited for this. I've been looking forward to this day.
Yeah, it's been great. For the 6 people who may not know who you are, I'm going to tell them that obviously Billy's the best-selling author of the Compendium of Emerald Talents. Woke doesn't mean broke. He's the winner of 2022 Stellar Citizens Award. Founder and CEO of 4BiddenKnowledge TV. I like that too. It's getting big. A new conscious streaming TV network, and co-host of Biohack Your Best Life podcast on mental health. He's also the writer and contributor to Rolling Stone and Entrepreneur magazines. He's recently earned the Certificate of Science with an emphasis on neuroscience at M.I.T, has a certificate in ancient civilization from Harvard University. Among his notable achievements, Billy is the CEO of this is interesting here, first-class space agency based in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Specifically, his space agency is involved in the research and development of alternative propulsion systems, zero-point energy devices, and I'm all about that, with the way the world's going. So, Billy, you're involved in so much.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your personal life story and how, your different life experiences prepared you for all the contributions you're making on the planet, man.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for that great introduction, by the way. I got my start. I walked into this dimension in September 4th, 1971 in Queens, New York. I was born in Queens General Hospital. And my mother and father, obviously living in New York, brought me into this world. And then the turmoil started.
Okay.
I actually had to fight for my life the first 3 weeks from being born. I'm Rh negative blood type, and for whatever reason, something in my blood was attacking my body. And so it was a fight for my life right from the very get-go. I started off in a battle, you know. A little bit later on, just growing up as a toddler in the house, and my father unfortunately was addicted to drugs and alcohol. He was self-soothing. He was a severely depressed man from losing his mother and father at an early age. His father left and never came back, and his mother died when he was only 16. So I can understand now in hindsight as an older man where that stemmed from.
Right.
He just never was able to get the right type of help. But that forced us to leave New York, as it was causing a lot of problems in New York, and we moved to Miami, Florida. They were trying to look for a fresh start. However, we moved to Opelika in Miami, which is like the heart of the ghetto. And at that time, we're talking the cocaine cowboys and everything else. So we went from one frying pan into another frying pan that had fire turned on to like mega 10,000 squared. And of course, that didn't work out so well initially. We were really in severe poverty. We're a poverty-stricken family. We literally would eat Cairo syrup and toast some days.
What did you just say? You eat what?
Cairo syrup. That's this clear syrup.
Oh yeah, Cairo syrup. I got
toast. You. Yeah. And matzo crackers with butter, powdered eggs. You'd have to add, they weren't real eggs. You'd have the water. You have kind of like some type of eggs, almost like an MRE from a military thing. And a ready-made meal or whatever. And then we'd beg the neighbors for food from time to time. So it was a hard upbringing. But where I got my first epiphany was around the age of 7, where I realized I didn't have any money for the ice cream truck, and all of my friends were going to the ice cream truck. And I was like, how come they can afford the ice cream truck? And we're both in the same broke, poor neighborhood. We can't even afford to eat. So I went in the house and I took all of my toys, even the broken toys, and I went door to door, asking for donations for my toys, a penny, a nickel, a dollar. I told the people, look, I just want to have money for the ice cream truck. And people started donating money to me, and I would still give them the toy anyway. And at the end of the day, I had about $13 and change. And I knew at that moment, my life was going to change. I said to myself out loud, I'm going to save myself. I felt it. I felt it deep inside my spirit that I literally saw a conscious thought. I had an action behind that, and that action created a different outcome. And now I had my bazooka bubblegum that I wanted to chew on and read my comic strip from the ice cream truck. So that's when literally when I first had my really first strong epiphany, realizing that I was powerful, that I can make decisions that can change my reality. And that's kind of how I got my start. And moving up through there, starting several businesses as a preteen that ended up making more money than my parents, selling digital car stereos and electronics in Miami, and growing other discount healthcare programs and companies all the way up until I finally started a .com in 1997, which I sold for millions of dollars in 2004. And that took 7 years off to just train my kids and create sports programs in my neighborhood and build a YMCA. Then getting back into the industry again, into mobile apps and web development, e-commerce. And then eventually realizing, I was in a call center business for a while, but I realized that my true calling was to spread this knowledge around the world. So I decided to walk in one day to my partners and said, hey guys, I'm out. Don't even sell my share. Just take my share of the company. I need to do what I'm here to do. And I walked out and I just started 4BiddenKnowledge.
Wow. So at the age of 7, you realized you had agency over your own destiny. That's what happened. It was a click, because most people are living thinking that either somebody owes them something, or the world owes them something, or they believe in bad or good luck, or circumstances determine their destiny. But at that moment that you sold those toys, you realized you had agency. You could make a decision, back it by action, manifestation will occur.
Yes, absolutely. And my eyes just lit up.
Just, yeah. You reminded me of my childhood a little bit. I mean, I remember I used to go to the neighbors, and I would ask, could I take their trash cans out, in and out on the week, because I wanted to have money in my pocket. Yeah. And I had all these people lined up. I had money in my pocket, just doing chores and things of that particular nature. And I'll always remember I went on vacation. My father took us somewhere. And so I had my friend down the street. I said, well, take over until I get back. And he was lazy and he didn't do it. So by the time I got back, another guy who had been scoping me out stole my clients.
Oh, man.
And I came back and his father beat his butt, when he found out about it. He said, you lazy, you lost Michael's clients. You reminded me, because you had agency. And so this was the seed that allowed Billy Carson to emerge to be an entrepreneur, be an individual that could basically forge his own destiny through his own thought, his own vision, and his own action. That's a powerful story. So now you released the shares. You didn't even ask for the money for your shares. That's interesting. You said,
I didn't want it.
You didn't want
I
it.
just wanted to release myself. I didn't want to have to keep going back and forth and negotiation. I said, look, I'm gonna make it easy on you guys. I really apologize. And I had set up the entire structure of the company,
Right.
the whole architect. I was the architect of the whole company,
Right.
and built it up to a successful program, including hiring and firing and lead generation and the whole thing, even all the accounts we had. But I just said, look, guys, I have to walk away from this. I'm gonna make it easy. Just take my share, and walked away.
Were they surprised?
Oh, they were completely shocked. They didn't want me to leave because, I said, look, I'm going to show you, I'll give you all the passwords. You have everything you need, but at the same time, I can't do this. They begged me not to go, but I had to go.
You had a destiny calling you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were they able to continue with the success that you established?
They continued. They didn't have the same level of success, and I figured they would probably go through a little bit of a growing process. But then, unfortunately, that when they got it rolling right, the global sickness came. So right as they reached their pinnacle of where I left them years prior, then that knocked them back down. So I'm not really sure what they're into now.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Now, so you segued into Forbidden Knowledge Incorporated. Give the audience an overview of what that is and what you offer from that platform.
For so many decades, I have been studying and researching ancient civilizations and aerospace technology, ancient cultures, philanthropy, mysteries, metaphysics, and so forth, so many different things. And I knew that I had a lot of information to spread to the world. I had read this Hopi prophecy that said that in the future, the world will be connected by a web and information will travel around the planet instantaneously. And I said, if I can just live to the point when that happens, I'll be able to get my message out. So when the internet came along, I was like, wow, this is my time. But then I was tied up in this company and that company. And finally, that's why I had to walk away. And I said, I want to take this knowledge that I deem to be forbidden knowledge, because not that it's completely hidden and nobody can get to it, but it's in so many fractalized pieces. They need somebody to put it all together and connect the dots, which is what I thought I was very good at doing. And so I said, I'm going to call this forbidden knowledge, and I'm going to teach people how to make forbidden knowledge eventually become common knowledge. That was the ultimate goal.
Right.
And I wanted to take over the world. My slogan was take over the world one click at a time. That's my first slogan I put on all my stuff on my branding. Right. And so in 2014, I started it off as a nonprofit initially, and just kind of started getting my information out there. And I realized to get it to the level that I wanted it, I needed to take it into a C Corp. A nonprofit corporation was extremely limited for what I was trying to do. And I knew I needed to commercialize it if I wanted to get forbidden knowledge mainstream. And also I knew there was some opportunities there with media. So then in 2017, I converted it into a profit C corporation. And then that was the first year I decided to monetize it. First year I did about $149,000, very small money. The following year it went up to 2 million, following year 3 million, 6 million. It just kept on going as I continued to build. And I said, now it's time to launch Forbidden Knowledge TV. I initially actually launched Forbidden Knowledge TV, which is a streaming TV network with conscious programs prior to Netflix existence. If you look at the age of the domain, you'll see the domain predates Netflix, but bandwidth fees were so high back then, and there was no real OTT back-end platforms. And it was costing me, just for 1 million streams in 1 month, was almost $1,600 a month back then. And I was like, okay, I can't keep doing this. So I paused it. And then after a while with Netflix and Prime and Hulu and everything, I said, okay, now it's time. Let's bring this back. So I brought it back on a nice OTT platform. And it's like a conscious Netflix, basically. A lot of conscious programming there. Stuff that can uplift, inspire, motivate, teach. And now we have a little over, I think now 3,400 programs on the network, and growing in leaps and bounds. And we've even filed for a Reg CF, which we did about 1.5 years ago, and raised about $1 million in round one. We raised another 3 or 4 million in round two. And we just now applied for a Reg A+ with the SEC and FINRA, which was just approved. And now we're doing a Reg A+, which is going to launch literally any day now for round 3. In the first round, our pre-money valuation was 20 million. The second round, it went to 30 million. And now in the third round, our pre-money valuation just came in at $50 million. And we made an announcement earlier this year that we're going to be uplisting in NASDAQ, probably by the fourth quarter or the first quarter of next year.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
And so how many people are now participating in Forbidden Knowledge and the TV aspect?
Well, now this is great news. So the reason why I did this is because I wanted to be able to bring the people that were supporting me along for the ride, right? Give them an opportunity to earn and learn.
Right.
And I knew it was a hard path to go because going public is extremely difficult and very, very expensive. But I figured if we can pull this off, we can change a lot of people's lives. And so right now we have just a little over 5,000 investors in Forbidden Knowledge. 5,000 people bought shares at $1 or $1.50 when they first came out, depending on when they bought them. Now shares are $2.50 when round 3 starts. So they're already looking very good. And we know that we can legally state that when it hits NASDAQ, the minimum we're opening at is $4. So this is a great golden opportunity for a lot of people.
That's fantastic. And so basically you're curating teachers that are providing a message along with yourself. And basically giving them a platform to actually be on television.
Yeah, giving a platform to be on TV, literally like global TV, Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Samsung TVs, the web, iOS.
I could stream my Sunday services with you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. You can live stream if you want to. We can do live streams. We can do whatever you want. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Now, I appreciate what you said earlier about forbidden knowledge in terms of taking not that which is forbidden, but that which was kind of hidden, and bringing it to the fore. I used to say, because I've been teaching, 4 decades now, and back in the day, it was peripheral. Now it's the conversation is central. Everybody knows about the law of attraction. Everybody knows that your thoughts transmute themselves into perception and experience and manifestation. It's a part of the gestalt now, So now we have to, what I love what you're doing, we have to actually assist people, not just believing in this stuff, but actually going deeper in practice, to actually embody these teachings so that individuals like you did at 7 realize they have agency over their own life and that they can make a mighty difference on this planet. It's not about taking, it's about celebrating the gift that's within you and share it. And so you're on the forefront, of actually launching this kind of information for more and more people to get. I celebrate you even before I knew you,
Thank you.
I remember saying, I'm gonna know this brother.
Thank you, man. Listen, honored to meet you finally after, seeing you on the show and everything and following your social media and be like, wow, and then finally through Dr. B and everything else, it's just, man, I tell you, everything, like I said earlier, divine timing, man, just, it works out, everything comes full circle and here we are. This is great.
Yeah. And so Emerald Tablets, I have a copy of it, I'm going through
thank you.
And give us a synopsis of it. I want people to actually get the book, but give us a synopsis.
Yeah. A synopsis. So the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and there's also another tablet called the Emerald Tablet of Hermes, a singular tablet. So there's tablets, plural, and one tablet. When I went through both of these amazing writings that are really old, like the Emerald Tablets of Thoth are said to be about 36,000 to 38,000 years old.
Right.
As I started going through this ancient text, I started realizing a lot of epiphanies, not only with the metaphysical and the spiritual context of it, but also I started realizing and noticing technology, quantum physics, quantum mechanics, and general sciences and so forth. And I was like, this is really, really amazing. So I started asking a few people in the community who I think are on that path, have they read them? And some had, and I started asking for deeper questions to see how much they gleaned from it. They didn't seem as they gleamed enough that I thought I saw. So I continued to go through them more and more. And I said, wow, the world needs to hear what's in these tablets. So I decided to write a book called Compendium of the Emerald Tablets.
Right.
And the compendium is a breaking down of both tablets, which are included inside the actual book itself as well. The original tablets are both in there, but I broke them down in a way that allows an average person to understand exactly what's being said, what's being told, what is the lesson, what is the what is the philosophy behind this, what is the science, and what science that they are talking about here can we compare to something we have now in modern times that is extremely similar. So I break that down as well. And also I break down the teachings of Jesus and everybody else inside this text so people can see that for a lot of religions, this was the original source material.
Right. And so what part of the world did this come from?
It originated in the land of Kemet, long
Yeah.
before it was called Egypt. We're talking a very long time ago, because according to the ancient Egyptians, not me, the ancient Egyptians say that Thoth ruled over the land of Kemet for 16,000 years, just one person, all right, which is not, it sounds like a long time, but even in the Sumerian kings list, there's people who ruled for 28,800 years. So that's a short period of time. 16,000, not as long as 28,000.
Right.
And this is what the ancient ancestors say, and what they recorded in their writings. And so it originated there long after he left from the land of Kemet, because he left Kemet with Olmecs, some Africans, and he went to Mesoamerica and he built the Teotihuacan civilization. But after he left, the pyramid priests and the priests of the records eventually took those tablets and migrated them and took them over to Mesoamerica, where Teotihuacan was built. They were actually written in Kemet, but discovered over there in Mesoamerica near Teotihuacan, and then brought back again. So it's pretty interesting. It's an interesting story.
It's powerful. So you're actually saying that this is being lived that long.
Yeah. And he talks about how he does it too in the book. He talks about the fact that he has these rejuvenation chambers. And I've actually visited his father's rejuvenation chambers, Ea Enki. They're in the Serapeum in Egypt. So if you go to Egypt and go to the Serapeum, you'll see the rejuvenation chambers. It's the halls of M.I.T. His was located underneath the Great Pyramid, which I've been underneath the Great Pyramid, and these gigantic 60 and 70-ton sarcophagus, which aren't really for bearing anybody.
No, they're not. I've been there too. You're right.
Yeah, you already know. Yeah. It's some kind of technology.
But keep rolling. I want people to hear it, because people think these are tombs and things of that particular nature. But it had nothing to do with that.
No, nothing to do with that whatsoever. He says 100 times 10 have I descended into the halls of M.I.T. So he's gone down into these halls of M.I.T. and he's put his body, he says, into these rejuvenation chambers, into these giant sarcophagus, and he let the body rejuvenate while he walks. He transfers his consciousness into another body. Now, all these bodies are not stolen bodies.
Right.
They said that they fashion their own bodies in some way. They have a way of making their own clones, so to speak. And he would then walk amongst men, but unlike a man, he says, while the other bodies are rejuvenating, and he would jump from body to body, which sounds like incredible science fiction, but this is what they're working on right now. And I talk about this in my book, the Avatar Project with DARPA, coming out of the military out of America, where they have field soldiers having symbiotic links with field robots. Same exact thing, sending their consciousness to link with the robot. That way, if the robot is destroyed, the soldier is in a bunker somewhere completely safe. It just severs the connection. And then you have Ray Kurzweil out of Russia, who created the 2045 project, 2045.com, 2045.com. They've already transferred the monkey's consciousness into a computer, and the monkey's body is dead. The monkey thinks it's still alive. It's in a computer eating bananas and climbing trees. It's not even alive in the sense of the word of physical third dimension. And they've now connected again to a human mind to a robot. And by 2045, which is what the name of the project, they hope to have a human transfer his consciousness or her consciousness into another clone being. So, this is what we're working on. And this is the same stuff written in the tablets.
Absolutely. It's interesting because art sometimes mimics real life. And you see a lot of movies now. I mean, there was a Bruce Willis movie where him and his girlfriend were putting their consciousness into younger bodies of themselves and taking care of business and then coming back to the older body. And, so a lot of times art is just mimicking the next great version of science or the possibility of where we're all heading. It's like it's in the atmosphere. It's more than science fiction. These things are really being worked upon.
Yeah, that's the fact.
Yeah, and so people are starting to realize that we are pure consciousness. Now, the other thing I like about your teaching, I remember I used to be criticized for this a number of years ago when we say that our life is the life of God, and I can remember, and I've watched you navigate that to a degree. I remember when I was teaching in a higher consciousness school of ministry, I was a faculty member, and one of the teachers came up to me after my class and said, you shouldn't tell people that they're God, that they're the life of God. Just tell them, just say that God works through you. And I said, well, that is true. God does work through us, but there's only one life. So that life has to be God. So my life has to be the life of God. I'm not going to dumb it down. at least I'm going to plant the seeds. And I've watched you navigate that as well. And now we're living in a time where people, it's like the mental atmosphere is ready to have an understanding that we're not separated from life itself. We're an emanation of life, and we carry everything that life has. We just have to be conscious of it. And you're doing a great work in bringing a lot of people along in this dynamic, giving people a great degree of self-confidence and worth. And it's powerful to watch you. Yeah.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm so pleased, man. That's why I have so much respect for you, because it's so hard to go against that grain, especially in the ministry, and be able to say, no, yes, no, we are God.
Yeah.
And then, but to break it down and say, let me explain what that means, and to show people and when you show them the right way, like I say, the divine spark that created everything in the universe is imbued in every single atom, which makes up my body. All the atoms in my body have been here since the beginning of creation. I'm just a stack of atoms. Atoms were stacked in a format to create this avatar. I'm like a giant Lego, right?
Right.
But there's divine energy flowing through every single electron and proton and neutron and nucleus that have created this avatar body. And this body is just a vessel to encapsulate temporally my spirit, which is only one spirit.
Right.
And so we are harnessing a spirit that's coming in on an angle. We're angels, right? We're angles.
Right.
And it's coming in on an angle, and it's inhabiting, the light is inhabiting this avatar for a moment in time and allowing us to maneuver around this third dimension. But we literally are just being broadcast here from higher dimensions.
Yes.
And our spirit literally is just a frequency. I'm 99.1, you're 99.2, but it's all coming from the same radio station.
Right.
And, that's why I try to tell people, look, you have to understand the power is in you already. Stop, hoping and wishing and begging. It's in you now. Just accept that and walk in that true power. And man, when I began to do that, the world just began to open up. Everything began to unfold right before my very eyes.
Absolutely. And instead of you bending yourself towards circumstances bend to your frequency. They bend to your vibration, because circumstances are just the condensation of thoughts and opinions and points of view. It's condensed themselves. But when you lift your vibration and you know who you are, then everything bends towards you. Doors open, opportunities happen. It's already there within you. And this is, you're the God of your own life, you see?
Yeah.
And you're not, I tell people, we're not blaspheming God. Blaspheming God is to limit God. We're magnifying God. We're allowing the presence of God to know itself as our life. That's not blasphemy. That's celebration. I'm celebrating the life divine with my life. And people are now, I'm not talking about those who are still lost in religions and fundamental religions, but many people who have left that are starting to wake up to the truth that the divine is within them, and the divine is their very life and being. It's a game changer.
Oh yeah, it's huge. It's so huge. And I've gone so far as to tell people, look, because we know through quantum physics that everything exists as a wave of light before it converts itself into the potential of a digital substance or particle, or what we call matter.
Right.
Matter really is just an illusion that's collapsed by consciousness, but everything exists as waves of potential.
Right.
And so because of that, everything that exists is making a decision whether it's going to appear to be a wave or it's going to be a particle. We know this through the double slit experiment. And we know that when the electrons are being watched, they turn into particles. When they're not being watched, they operate as waves, which means they're conscious. They make decisions. And if they're making decisions based on conscious observation, that means that every single atom in the entire universe is conscious, which means a rock is conscious, a piece of paper is conscious, this microphone is conscious, these clothes we're wearing are conscious. And if you could teach that to kids from an early age and let them know that everything is alive, including things that appear to be inanimate objects or appear to be man-made, it's not really man-made because we just stack atoms, we don't make anything.
Right.
Then imagine the level of respect and dignity they would have for their clothes, their toys, the house, and nature and everything else. They would treat everything with a higher level of reverence if they understood that everything was aware and conscious.
Absolutely. You reminded me, I was my first awakening as an adult happened in the 70s. I was senior at USC. I was a psychobiology major. I thought my path was to go into med school. And I had a conscious awakening. I was stabbed in the heart in a lucid dream and I died. When I woke up, I could see the love and the beauty and the intelligence. The love just penetrated my being. Beauty was everywhere. And as you were saying, even the lint on the rug was alive. Everything was teeming with life, vibrant, beautiful, and it changed the whole trajectory of my life. And I had to go on a research and development to discover what had happened to me. And I never could get back in the box again. It took me a number of years to integrate so that I didn't look weird out here. I had to integrate those higher frequencies. And I lost all my friends because everybody thought I had freaked out on Jesus. You know what I mean? They said, Michael's freaked out, And but everything was alive. I mean, the cement, the grass, the lint. I always remember that. And to this day, when I go into certain zones and everything is just buzzing with aliveness. I mean, sometimes I have to make sound effects because it's just so, and people don't understand, like the trees bend towards our divinity. We walk through a forest, the trees recognize many people's divinity and they don't even recognize it in themselves.
Come on, man.
They actually bend towards our divinity, But yeah, everything is alive. It's a beautiful thing. Now, we can go on and on and on, man. I'm gonna have to have you back again. But this I want to keep going in this conversation, but I do want to ask you about, and I know I'm involved in it to a degree. You Forbidden Knowledge, you then went into not an award show. What do you call it? It's a conscious awards program.
Conscious awards.
What was your motivation? Tell us about it. But what was the motivation to birth this?
About a year and a half ago, I was just sitting around. I was talking to my fiance, Elizabeth, and I was talking to her about the fact that I was scrolling on social media and I saw, man, so many powerful people out here dropping some real incredible information. And I was like, man, I feel bad. Like some of these people I know for a fact, because I know some of them are using every penny they have. They're investing everything they have extra from their work, and all their extra time that they should spend with their family, they're dedicating to trying to enlighten humanity. And I said, it's just really a shame that there's nothing to recognize these people on a grand scale, other than giving you some likes and a comment. And I sat back and I said, well, wait a minute. Well, why don't I do it? Why don't I give these people their flowers while they're still alive? And so that's how the initial thought came to me. And again, going back to the 7-year-old Billy, you get the thought, now it's time for the action, right? So I'm the type of person that when the thoughts come in my head, I'm going to start snapping. I'm going to start taking action with this. So Elizabeth and I started working on this, and we said, yeah, we have to make this a reality. And it just started coming together. We found a venue. We found one of the nicest venues literally in the world, the Adrian Art Center for the Performing Arts in Miami, Florida. It rivals, in my opinion, the Sydney Opera House just because it's newer and it's more high tech. When you walk in, it's awe-inspiring. It takes your breath away. It's one of those kind of venues. And it was so expensive. And I knew the first year would be a loss, you'll be in the red, but it didn't matter. The fact was somebody has to start this. And we said it's going to be us. It's going to be the Forbidden Conscious Awards. And we're going to honor people in so many different categories, whether it's spiritual leaders like yourself, archaeologists, space anomaly hunters, podcasters, radio hosts, TV hosts, producers, music artists. We wanted to let people know we appreciate you, and we're going to let your fans get involved and help them vote. Say, hey, we want to thank you in a more grand way. We want to thank you in a much bigger way. And it just continued to grow until the idea manifested itself, and we began to invest in it. And now it's going down a year later in Miami, Florida. In just 2 weeks now, it's showing up here live in real time. We'll be at the Adrian Art Center, and you're actually one of the top nominees in the spiritual leader category. So congratulations to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And so what you're doing, when I'm hearing you speak, first of all, I love the genesis of it, giving people their flowers while they're here. I appreciate that. And I mean, they have hip hop music awards, they have BET awards. Why not celebrate individuals who are really trying to change consciousness? Really trying to uplift people, encourage people, inspire people, and pull them from the sense of foreboding, negativity, and fear. I mean, I think it's great, and I mean, obviously, people who are doing this, we don't do anything for an award.
Right.
It's not like that's not the motivation. The motivation is really as 7-year-old Billy discovered, there's a calling. And you have to say yes to the calling. If you don't say yes to the calling, you'll live your entire life dangling on the strings that somebody else is holding, Yeah. So it's a great acknowledgement. I appreciate being a part of it. And it was when you told me that I was in the top running for that. I mean, it was kind of a surprise to me, Yeah,
and that's huge, man. You got a strong following. Your people love you. The people that have been listening to you and learning from you. A lot of people voted for you, man. Put you into the top 3. It's Deepak Chopra, Tim Story, and you.
Yeah, well, I know both of those people. Those are my colleagues. Those are my friends.
Yeah, that's great.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful even to be mentioned, and I appreciate you for taking that on. You have taken your platform, and you're making a great difference. And
thank you.
I applaud you. Yeah. Now you have a podcast, Biohack Your Life.
Biohack Your Best Life. Yes,
Biohack Your Best Life.
Yeah. So Elizabeth's, wanted her own podcast on the network, and so she came up with the name. She said, "Would you be a co-host with me?" So I co-host Biohack Your Best Life podcast with her, and it's all about mental health, biohacking, which are modalities that you can use, whether spiritual or physical modalities to help clear up the mental fog, the mental health, the shadow work, and everything else needed, whether it's from grounding or whether it's from EFT or these other techniques. Just ways to help people relieve the trauma from their bodies and to lead a healthy, conscious life, and to be able to, defeat these battles within the mind so that they can defeat the battles on the outside. Because you got to clean up the inside first before you can do anything on the outside. So we have the Biohack Your Best Life podcast, and that's on the Forbidden Knowledge Podcast Network. So it's been doing very well. Yeah.
People can just go to forbiddenknowledge.com basically and discover all of this.
Yeah, go to forbiddenknowledge.com. You can also watch it on Forbidden Knowledge TV, and you can also watch it on YouTube, the Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, Forbidden Knowledge YouTube account. And then I have my own podcast on that same network. I think we have 6 podcasters now. So we have various different podcasts. We have Behind the Hustle, but Kika Wise talking about, how to generate income, passive income on the side. I got my Forbidden Knowledge podcast, which talks about all things forbidden knowledge. And we have Why the Big Secret with Roderick Martin talking about, MUFON type stuff, UFOs, UAPs, aliens, government things. We have the Mental Strategist, which is a psychotherapist, and her friend Antonina. They both talk about kind of mental health, but how to overcome different mental issues and problems, how to strategize and take your problems on the right way. And then we have Numb, which is another podcast talking about how to deal with daily issues. Is more for feminine issues, mental and so forth. Just trying to bring all different aspects of this thing together, and then now we have Dr. B Serious coming on with the Frequency podcast, which is going to be incredible. Yeah. So just trying to find ways to tap into everybody's likes and wants and what they want to hear or listen to, but something that's going to give them some knowledge when it ends.
Right. This is beautiful. So do you ever sleep, man? Because you got so many things going on here. I'm looking at your forbiddenknowledge.com. You offer tours and workshops. You have an entrepreneur masterclass with Dame Dash.
Yeah.
you got so much going on, man. I'm looking at here. Unleash Your Divine Power with Mike Rashid. Oh, Blueprint for God Power 2 is coming up.
Yes.
You had Blueprint for God Power 1, Blueprint for God Power 2. That's coming up in October. Give people an understanding of what that is.
Listen, part 1 was a huge 11-hour class, which was hosted by and taught by Dr. B Serious and myself, Billy Carson. It was an amazing workshop going deep into the actual blueprint to activate and access your God power. And 11 hours just wasn't enough, to be honest with you. We realized that. It was actually one of the largest conscious online workshops in history in this community. We know that for a fact. And so many people wanted so much more we decided to come back with a part 2 so we can continue to grow and build on that and take people even to a higher level. So we're coming back with an incredible amount of knowledge that's never been talked about on YouTube or Forbidden TV or any other network before. We're coming with all new information, all new knowledge. We're going to be giving out free meditation tracks that were created specifically just for this God power. That's not on podcast or Spotify or Apple Music or anywhere else. It's exclusively for the ticket holders. And we're going to give away these 7 sacred prayers that was done by 7 powerful people. That's exclusive. That's never been aired. That's only going to be for the people who are ticket holders as well. And it's going to be an incredible, powerful class, probably another 11, 12-hour class. Part 2 is going to be mind-blowing, bigger even than the first one. That's coming up in October this year. People can find all my events on eventbrite.com and just type in Billy Carson. Everything should pop right up.
So you didn't ask for other questions. Do you ever sleep, man?
Oh, I try to get sleep now. I used to only sleep 4 hours a day for about maybe 25, 26 years.
Yeah.
Before that, it was probably like 5 or 6 hours. But now, my fiance, she's a biohacker. She's, if you get older, as you get older, I'm going to be 52 in September. And so you have to at least get 6, just statistically, to avoid issues and things like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and things like that. Lack of sleep kind of contributes to those problems. So now I force myself to make sure I get at least a good 6 hours of sleep.
Yeah. I'm on the same track. I used to do, because I meditate, so I wouldn't need a lot of sleep. So I could do 4 with ease. But I notice now I'm doing the same thing. I'm starting to, get my 6. And then I used to, back in the day, when I was doing the 4, I would take a nap in my office in the afternoon.
That's all you need, man.
Yeah, I would take a nap.
Power nap, and you're good.
Yeah. So I may get back to, I haven't been able to do the nap recently because a lot of things are unfolding that I need to have my hands on. But I would not go to sleep a lot. I would just meditate, and get the 4 to 5. But I'm on that same track. I like sleeping now because my dreams now are so vivid,
Nice.
and they're like, a lot. It's like if I'm talking to you, it's me and you talking. You know what I mean?
Oh man, I love it.
It's very lucid, and that cycle is coming back again. So I like going to sleep now because it's an adventure. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I'm dealing with different people, some of my friends who have moved on or things of that particular nature. We're having good conversations, and so it's beautiful.
That's powerful. I like to have guided dreams, so I'll set myself up for what type of dream I want to go into, and then I'll guide myself in.
Yeah, that's powerful. People need to understand that it's a very powerful period of time when you're falling asleep, and a very powerful period of time when you're first waking up. And we're going to use those times, to actually, as you're talking about, guide the dream or imprint the subconscious mind with something that you want to manifest or grow into. And so I use that. I have like 17 things I have written down. So when I first wake up, I read them. Well, I'm still in the hypnagogic state. I'm still between sleep and awake. I'll read them and then go on about my day. And before I go to bed, I'll read them. So it goes into my subconscious mind. And so even as I'm sleeping, it's working, and oftentimes people will go to sleep and they have all kinds of worries on their mind and unforgivenesses and annoyances and, the news, and they don't understand that they're programming their mind. They're misprogramming.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. And those codes are powerful too. They'll take you over if you allow them to. Yeah. You have to shut all that noise out and you be the master. I tell people, you're not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. Absolutely. You need to separate yourself from those thoughts and take control of this avatar body and dominate.
Yeah, that's why we call this Take Back the Mind. You covered a little bit of that material in terms of the observer effect. Everything we observe changes on a subatomic level just based on observation. So if you have the observer effect with intention, you've taken the observer effect on steroids now. So if you're meditating, you're observing yourself, but you have the intention to become the next great vision and version of yourself, you change everything on a subatomic level and everything starts to work on your behalf. And you're basically letting people know, Billy, as we talked about from the very beginning, they have agency over their own life. You know, so many people are just dangling on the strings of the government, all manner of agencies that want to control you.
Yep.
But you have agency.
You have it. And for the people who are going to sleep and having these nightmares, like you just talked about, you know, for issues and problems and things that arise or things that they went through in their life or whatever that keeps creating all these nightmares and problems and issues and all these daydreams that are torturing them.
Right.
They have to realize that they need to break down and analyze what went wrong, what their collaboration or their collusion was with that wrongness. How can they now learn from this problem or situation they went through? How can they come up with potential solutions if it ever arises again? And then once they get to that point, the next step is then to forgive themselves and absolve themselves of all of it and move on and make peace with yourself. And then those things won't even be an issue anymore.
Right. Yeah, you gave the key word is forgive yourself. Release the rancor, the resentment, the animosity, the way we self-loathe sometimes, and let it go.
Yeah.
You can actually change the past, because oftentimes people are experiencing their perception of the past and they're repeating it over and over and over. And when they expand their perception through forgiveness, they begin to see they didn't even see it right. They were seeing their life from a narrow point of view. They didn't see the bigger picture. They didn't see all the support and the love and how they're surrounded by this presence of which their life is. And then they can break free. Yeah, forgiveness is key. It's key. And of course, as you know, all forgiveness is really self-forgiveness anyway.
Yeah, really, it's all it is.
Yeah.
And at some point, if you relinquish that to an outside source, but you never truly forgive yourself, you're still going to languish and suffer ongoing until you finally come to that point where you forgive yourself. It's going to be a trauma that's going to be embedded into your RNA that's going to be passed down on to your next generation. And it's called epigenetic memory. So you might as well start working on yourself now and start fixing these problems and re-encoding yourself. So when your next generation doesn't have to suffer because of you.
Absolutely. And this is how we break the whole ancestral curses, all that's been passed down. We don't have to live that out.
No.
You know, we don't have to be victims of that. And so many people are victimized by what's happened in their ancestral line. And as you say, passing it on to the descendants, we can break that. We can set ourselves free now and let it go in both directions, ancestor, descendants, and clear up the whole thing. Because there's a part of us that's never been touched, hurt, harmed, or endangered in any way. And that's the real self. That's us, you know.
Yeah.
But we have to be bold enough to be whole. We have to be bold enough to accept that. Yeah. Yeah, this is great.
Absolutely powerful. So powerful, man. Yeah.
So, you know,
man, we got to do it. We got to do a 10-hour workshop together, man. A lot going on.
You're speaking something into existence, man.
Yeah, man. This is too good, man.
It's so much. So much. So let me ask you this. You know, we got a few minutes. You know, I often teach that pain pushes until the vision pulls. What's pulling you right now? I know you got a lot of stuff going on. You got the Conscious Awards. You got your podcasts. You got the Forbidden Knowledge. You got a lot happening. Is there anything else pulling you stretching you into the next level of Billy Carson?
Yeah, I would really say it's really this Forbidden Knowledge TV. It was pulling me the most. My main focus, even though there's so many other ancillary things that go along with that, the book publishing and the music and everything else, but it really is fundamentally the Forbidden Knowledge TV network, because I really want and will have that as the largest conscious TV network in the world. And it's going to touch so many millions of people's lives, which eventually is going to turn into billions of people's lives. And so it has I think, in my personal opinion, the power to make the most change on the planet in the fastest way, because I can bring on incredible minds like yourself and others. Now somebody all the way in India somewhere can literally turn on a mobile device and hear your voice and get that wisdom and that knowledge imparted into their mind, and that's going to activate them. So it's all about sparking brains. How many brains can we spark globally And I really feel like that is the best venue and avenue to make it happen, since it is a global app.
Yeah, no, this is beautiful. I'm offline, I'm going to talk to you more about it. And there's so many different layers that you've brought up today that I'm glad my audience will get a chance to know you. I know you're known, but I want, my folks to know who you are. And
yeah, that'd be great. I appreciate it.
This is powerful. Any last words? Any final, anything on your mind that you just, I wish I would have shared that. I wish I would have said that.
I just want to tell people, like, really be honest and truthful with yourself. A lot of the times we lie to ourselves. And the reason why we do this, we self-sabotage. It's one of the biggest things that I see going on every single day. A lot of self-sabotaging is happening. And when you're lying to yourself, or you're tricking yourself, you're denying yourself of things that you're worthy of. We're supposed to walk in abundance 24/7. Don't let anybody rob you of that concept or idea. Don't let anybody put you down or make you feel like you should be less worthy because maybe you are feeling abundant or operating in abundance or looking to abundant, but that abundance is your birthright. And not only is it your birthright, but it's also your job and your duty to build a legacy for your friends, your family, loved ones, whoever it is that's close to you, to help to continue to build a legacy so that people in the future coming on can have a way to say, hey, I've got a little step up to get started here. But also, not only in building a legacy, you need to understand, how do you establish it to where it can be long lasting? What kind of rules do you put in place into that legacy so that people coming along that have the advantage of taking that legacy on don't screw it up and burn it? So there's rules and things like that, like I like to teach about, like making rules about your trust and your will and your life insurance policy. How much money does the offspring get? Well, and what are the rules involved with that? For example, my kids know that if they don't have a 700 credit score, they don't get anything. If you're living on somebody's,
they just have 700, huh?
They have 700. If you're not sleeping on the couch, if you're sleeping on somebody else's couch, not on your own couch, you get nothing. You can't be a leech sleeping on somebody's couch. If you don't have a company or a job for at least 1 year that can be proven with a tax return, then you get nothing. You'll have to start over again. You'll go back in business, go another full year. All right. These are rules and regulations. You have to attend my financial literacy courses that I
was going to ask you about that. Share that, because I know about your financial literacy course and your life insurance and the whole program you set up. We got another moment or so. Share that part of your life and what you have to offer there.
Yeah. So there's financial literacy courses. I do them for the public in these workshops. And I really teach in depth, like what type of policies to get, what type of whole life policy, what type of trust do you get? How do you create an irrevocable trust? What type of attorney to put on that to create it? How do you set it up and establish it to where if something happens to you, everyone can get access to it? How do you store your passwords and your logins for your Bitcoins and all your cryptocurrency, your bank account? How do you have a attorney, power of attorney, and who gets that power of attorney to get access to things? This is all crucial information that we, for whatever reason, we meaning mostly people of color, for whatever reason, we don't establish these things in our legacy plan. Right. And so a lot of the times the next generation gets kind of burned. We have to stop that. That's a curse we have to stop, which is why I'm so big on it. And you have to establish rules and regulations for the people that will get access to what you're getting, so that when you're gone, your legacy can continue to live on, because it's usually what happens is the legacy gets passed down to the first generation, but by the second generation, it's usually completely wasted and destroyed and gone. So you have to establish these rules and regulations. Even my grandchildren, they don't get any money. What they get is a small percentage when they turn 18. And then when they meet certain requirements, when they're 21, they get a little bit more. And then they reach certain requirements again when they're 25, then they get the rest. If they don't meet the requirements, they don't get anything. So
because they're going to squander it. Because they would squander it. It would be gone. It's like somebody winning the lottery. 5 years later, they're broke because they don't have the rule and the consciousness to hold that frequency of abundance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So is this information on the forbiddenknowledge.com?
Yeah, forbiddenknowledge.com. Just go there. A lot of these workshops from teaching what I'm talking to you now, they're all available to our subscribers. Just subscribe to forbiddenknowledge.tv, or you can go to .com to get to .tv, or just get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on your app store. get a 7-day free trial. Log in and binge watch a lot of my classes, many as you want. Learn as much as you can in 7 days. See if you like it.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful, man. You're doing a great work out here, and I appreciate.
Thank you.
I appreciate the different levels. I appreciate the spiritual dimension. Everything is spiritual, but I appreciate the nuts and bolts at the level of your finances, the level of trust, wills, life insurance. These are things that people need to know about, and it's not that far away from doing. It's not that difficult. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of putting in the action and the energy and learning about it and getting it done.
Right.
And, look,
because prosperity is not that far away.
Yeah.
Prosperity is not that far away. People who don't have a lot of money can still begin to build a legacy and begin to build their consciousness and begin to manifest at higher and higher levels. You can't just look at yourself as a victim and say, what you don't have. You have to look at yourself as a victor and begin to feel what you do have and walk in that direction. Yeah.
That's it. That is it. And then the next generation will take over where you left off and continue to build.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. This is beautiful. Okay. There's so much here. We're going to have to do this again. Everyone, this is Billy Carson, 4Bidden Knowledge .tv, forbiddenknowledge.com. Check out the compendium on the Emerald tablets. It's very powerful. And, I'm glad we had this moment.
Yeah, thank you. I have to come back. We got to go deeper, but I appreciate it, man. This was incredible. And thank you to everyone that, that listens to your work, man. You're a great teacher. I mean, a really, really good teacher, man. Your stuff is powerful, and it keeps popping up on my feed, which is, I like the algorithm sometimes. Sometimes the algorithms actually are good because you get what you need when you need it sometimes, which is great because you're popping up on my feed all the time, man. Yeah, and you're popping up on mine. I mean, it started happening maybe a couple of years ago. It was like Billy Carson. Yeah. And then I started seeing you, then I started listening. Yeah. I said, oh, he knows what he's talking about, because I listened. And some of the babies that are coming up, they may have the words, they don't have the lyrics, they don't have the music. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like they don't really have it yet. They're repeating things. But they're repeating. I listen and I can hear the tone of your voice. And I said, oh, he knows. He knows. Matter of fact, we didn't get into this, but I know by the tone of your voice that you've had some very powerful cosmic experiences. Oh, yeah. No doubt. I've had some. We could talk about that one next time. You got some deep, powerful ones. Yeah, I can tell. Because I can listen to people speak and I can say, well, he or she knows about it, but they don't know it yet, And then I hear somebody speak and say, oh, they know. I know. They know. They've seen it. They've been on the other side. There's, they've traveled to a different place. I can tell. So I hear you. I heard the tone of your voice. I said, oh, he knows. He knows something. Yeah, this is good. So thank you, man. Thank you for giving me your time to be on the podcast. We will connect again online, and then next time maybe we'll just go in and curate some of because I'm starting to, at this stage of my development. Years ago I didn't do it. I'm starting to share some of the things that I've gone through internally and some of my travels internally and things like that. I kind of kept that at bay for a while because I didn't want people to get into woo-woo about it. But now I'm starting to share some of the miracles and some of the things that I've had the privilege of experiencing. We can dive into some of that stuff next time. Oh, yeah, that'd be great. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be fantastic. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. I'll see you in 2 weeks, man. So, hey, guys, whenever you see this podcast, even if it's after this time, go to forbiddenknowledge.com and see what happened. God Power Part 2. Yeah. Forbidden Knowledge. Thank you, man. Peace and blessings, man. We'll talk soon. God bless you. All right. Appreciate it. All right, bye-bye. I hope you enjoyed the powerful conversation I had with Brother Billy Carson. Now we're going to take an opportunity, as we do with every program, to become still and to have just a few moments of meditation. Meditation is paying undistractable attention to reality. That's reality with a capital R. It's not the reality that you create for yourself based on your perception, your point of view, your experience, your opinions, your positionalities. That's small r reality. Large r reality is that which is eternal, that which is forever, that which is infinite.
In moments of great awakening, people sometimes laugh because they suddenly see, oh my God, life never dies. So meditation is being still and learning to pay attention to the insights that accrue through our stillness. The 3 pillars of meditation are stillness, silence, and solitude. You learn to be still. Stop running around. Put your to-do list away for a while and be still. And then you close your eyes and go into the sacred silence. And it develops a level of solitude. We realize you are at one with life. You're undivided. Even though you may be connected with all, creates an inner fortress of solitude, of safety, security, wellness, and well-being. Just turn within for a moment. Be still. Be right here. Be unconcerned about where you are going and what you're going to do after this moment. Let go of where you have come from to be in this moment. Just be still. You are rich enough to pay attention. You're paying attention to your intention, which is to wake up to that which is real and eternal about you. Silence, quietude. You're able to observe the thoughts moving through your sky of mind. You're silently watching without interference. Be still, be silent. And you're cultivating a fortress of solitude. You're connected to all of life, and you're safe, secure, and cradled by love. Stillness, quietude, silence, dynamic, vibrational fortress of solitude. You may observe the thoughts, emotions, sensations of the body, sounds, without interference. And as we talked about earlier, the observer effect will change everything at a subatomic level. Obstacles and hindrances will dissolve. We give thanks for this precious moment of stillness. We give thanks for a beautiful day ahead that's happening already now. And we allow it to be. And so it is. Even now. Slowly open your eyes. Thank you for participating in this meditation. Let your friends know about the Take Back Your Mind podcast. Have a bright day. You've heard me say the old statement from time to time that an individual that's unwell, individual that is sick, has only one dream. But an individual that's healthy has many dreams. I want you to be a healthy individual from the inside out. One of our sponsors is Neutralize, Neutralize.com, that carries Adaptogen. Adaptogen is my superfood greens with 47 different plant-based ingredients, adaptogens, plus probiotics, prebiotics, and digestive enzymes. One scoop is going to do you really well. Go to our sponsor, Neutralize.com, look under adaptogens and get the bundle. Subscribe to the vitamin D3, K2, and the superfood greens. Your body's going to love you. You also have heard me say over the years that spiritual community grants you immunity from the lower frequencies of life. The other sponsor is Agape International Spiritual Center. We're in our 37th year. Go to agapelive.com. Notice that we have 3 services on Sunday. We have a university with classes. We have many different programs and ministries, all for the unfoldment of our soul to be the best version of ourselves. Those are our sponsors for now. Have a bright day. Your time is very valuable, so I want to thank you for lending us your ear and participating in taking back your mind. If you want to submit a question for the question of the week, please submit it to podcast@michaelbeckwith.com. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, please submit a review and let us know your thoughts. Stay on top of current episodes by subscribing to the podcast so that you'll receive alerts and not miss one single episode. And feel free to share this podcast with all of your friends and family. And until we meet again, take back your mind, and you will take back your life. Peace and blessings.